for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, good evening, everybody. It's our third session that everybody can take part in. Let's see. I'm looking over the agenda and town. Bear with me for a second. Okay. I just got a ping from Rob Dyer, who has apparently a short presentation and has asked if he can go first. DPW, you guys are supposed to be on first. Do you have an issue if Rob cuts in front of you?
No, not at all.
Okay. Hey, Rob?
I'm here.
Section 23 in our notebooks. So I will turn it over to Mr. Dyer. Rob, did you get my chat message?
I did. I'll take care of that for you.
Yeah, I'm just, keep bringing it up, but it doesn't ever work.
Yeah, we got a new system for mass notification, so it's not like the old one. So I have to figure out how to add you in because you're not in Power School.
Well, however you do it, please.
Okay.
Okay, chapter 23 or section 23 on IT.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
And this is pretty much what it looked like last year. There's really it's flat for the most part. The only difference in this budget, and I could go through it line by line just to explain what stuff is, if that's the board's pleasure. Is that something you want me to do?
If you can do a quick run through of it, Rob.
Sure.
You don't have to beat it to death, but just touch on the high points of each line.
Sure. So the first two lines here are what the town's contribution to salaries are. These are the shared services position with the Board of Ed. They actually haven't changed. This is what they've agreed to pay for that. Looking down the road, I don't know if that's something that should be changed with the restructuring of the positions, so that the board is actually reimbursing the town for those positions, but I kept it the same because we haven't had those discussions yet.
Okay.
If you go down to the next section there, it's connectivity. Those are what we pay various vendors for our fiber connectivity back to all the different town buildings, including the school. Down here, this is what we pay for our internet connectivity. That's for the entire town. Broadview VoIP, this is our phone system. We're going to be bringing the police department on that system as well. Initially, when this draft was created, they were not looking to make that move. However, they got notification from the phone carrier last week saying that they were going to be decommissioning the old telecommunications lines that the police department is using. So now there's a new push to get that done relatively soon. However, we think that working with the vendor, we think that we're going to be able to make it budget neutral. So it's going to be the same amount in there for next year anyways. Light tower fiber, again, that's the uplink from town hall to SHS. That's where everything kind of works. That's a flat rate that we pay every year. Our renewals, this is for our spam. So the thing that detects spam emails coming in, rejects them or allows them, the message archiver, which we're required to have for FOI, and our backup that, pulls backups from all of our servers and makes them available to us in case we need them for disaster recovery. The SunGuard accounting software, that's actually Tyler Technologies now. That amount in there is the same as well. Delaware.net is our website hosting company. That's where the SeymourCT.org website is hosted. Block time agreement with digital back office. So from time to time, we need support from an outside vendor to do, large network work on a consulting basis. That's been removed for next year because we still have block time left over with them from last year. So we can carry that forward year
Hey,
over year.
Rob, just a fast question. SunGuard accounting software?
Yeah, it's Tyler
That's-
Technologies.
Well, whomever. That's the finance department's,
It is.
and that's the same as what the Board of Ed uses?
It is.
Okay. Now, are they on the same cost for SunGuard as we're showing? So is it 26 or is it 13? And
I don't know because I don't have visibility into that line item on the Board of Ed side. That's a question you'd have to ask the business manager.
okay.
I know in the past it was not. The Board of Ed was actually lower with SunGuard.
Because I'm just taking some notes. Because I would think, given the usage for both departments, it's probably maybe a close to a 50-50 split. Doug or Lori, I noticed you were on.
So I'm sorry, Bill, is your question, is the Board of Ed paying a similar cost on their side?
Yeah,
or are
I'm
we paying the
just,
full
yeah.
boat?
Well, exactly. And
No,
that's what-
the town does not pay the full boat. The Board of Ed has its own line item for their share of it.
Okay, so they're say at 13 and we're at 13?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking if they're paying 13 and we're paying 13 in terms of like, are they being billed the same way we're being billed? And
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
the answer to that.
Well, the billing doesn't concern me as much as, if I don't care how they're paying their 13 and I don't care how we're paying our 13, as long as it's an equitable split, that if we're each paying 13 and the total bill is 26, okay. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, well, the old business manager was involved in those discussions with Tyler.
Yep.
And I don't know what the shakeout of that was. However, I do know that they're two separate accounts. So
Okay.
they get their own bill, we get our own bill.
Okay. Hey, Doug,
Yes,
can you find out the dollar figure for SunGuard on the Board of Ed side?
okay.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Go ahead.
No problem. So as I was saying, the block time agreement with our vendor, we can carry that forward year over year. So if we don't use our hours, which we did not last year, we carry them forward to this year. They're still available to us. So that reflected a reduction right there. The computer refresh replacement, we're on a replacement cycle for all the machines in the town hall. And excuse me one second. Sorry. Okay. So we're on a planned refresh cycle for all of our computers to make sure that none of them end up being older than 5 years. We're a few years into that now, so there's still some older ones in the town that need to be cycled out. That's what that money is in there for. Firewall renewal and support. So that is our cost to maintain our firewall. We are looking at possibly changing out the firewall at some point in the near future. But that number that's in there right there, that's the yearly maintenance on it to make sure that they send us the updates and all of the newest stuff is recognized and rejected. The Board of Ed also shares a cost for that. It's equal, so they pay 14 as well.
Okay.
Okay. The last item on here, and this is really, if you look at the bottom there, you'll see last year's budget request was 165. This year's budget request is 193. That's a $27,500 increase. And the reason for that is we have a placeholder in there of 35,000. And that placeholder is due to some uncertainty with our cyber insurance carrier. There's like a new push on the cyber insurance, for them to issue a policy. They're basically requiring everybody to do multi-factor authentication for all users, meaning all users in the town. So police department, schools, teachers, paraprofessionals, literally anybody who has access to our email system. So if we do have to, so we're basically presented with an option here of implementing MFA, multi-factor authentication, which has a cost associated with it because we have to purchase, I'm sure you're familiar with them, the little RSA key tag. Right. So there's a cost associated with that, as well as we don't have the capability of implementing multi-factor authentication on a local server. It really has to be a hosted server in, Microsoft's, Office 365 cloud. So there's a cost associated with migrating that over as well. So we put this in as a placeholder. I have a meeting with HD Seeger, the insurance provider or broker, next week, and we're going to have a discussion to find out if it's really going to be necessary and to what degree and who and all of that. So that may or may not be necessary.
No, and I know they mentioned that during our budget get together that they had early in January. Now, is this an annual, would this, regardless of the number, would this be an annual cost to the town?
So there would be two things. The first would be set up upfront costs, such as, purchasing those multi-factor authentication tags, if that's the route we choose to go. Or there also is a migration that we would have to do because we'd have to take our local email server and migrate it into the cloud, which is something that we would need to probably incur an expense to, do the physical setup of that and migration of the email itself. For both, the town and the schools would have to migrate their email servers. Both of them would have to get migrated over. So there would be a cost associated with that. And then you'd have recurring costs. So a lot of the hosted services, charge per mailbox, right? So if we have 40 users and they're charging $10 a mailbox per month, it's a $400 a month expense. So
the migrations, as you mentioned and all, that's in this 35?
Yeah, it is. So we would use a combination of that block time agreement that we have, the hours with digital back office, and they would assist us in migrating the mailboxes over. So there wouldn't be an expense for that portion of it in terms
Okay.
of a money contribution. We would use up our block time, which means we would probably need to put in next year's budget more block time.
So the 35 we're sitting with now, fast forward, if we do all of this and the migration, et cetera, are we looking at another 35 next year, or would it be 25? Or
No,
best guess?
it would probably be less for
Okay.
next year.
But
Because we wouldn't have to go rebuy all of the key tags. We may have breakage and loss of the key tags, and we'd have to replace maybe 10% of them.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be that high.
So it would be, as you're talking with whomever on this, if you can maybe get your arms around, even if it's a seat of the pants estimate for what next year would look like,
Sure.
just to give us some ideas on planning that,
Sure.
we could get some sense of what's going on.
And Tony Caserta could give you a better idea because he's been in talks with HD Seeger about this. But my understanding is they've raised the premiums quite a bit also because of all of the cyber incidents that have happened with municipalities and schools.
They did say that when we
Yeah.
had
So
the meeting.
I mean, at some point, to be honest with you, at some point it may make sense, depending on what the premiums come back at. It may make sense to look at, maybe self-insuring, because then we wouldn't be required to do this. And I don't know where that break-even point is because I haven't seen those numbers.
Well, it
But
depends, it depends on some of the municipal hacks that have gone on. Again, I've seen numbers from, the big cities into the millions, and the smaller size cities, even if you're talking a couple of $100,000.
Well, those were, I know which ones you're referring to. Those are ransom attacks. And what those are is they take all of your data, right?
Yep.
All of the tenant's data, and they lock it down with encryption.
And you don't
And then
pay.
they basically hold you hostage, and they say, if you don't pay us $4 million, you're not getting your data back. Well, we don't have that issue because of the way our infrastructure is set up. If that ever did happen, if we ever did get all of our data encrypted, we could actually just revert back to the previous day. So we would delete the encrypted data. We'd bring back the data from the previous day, and we'd be back up and running within hours. So that's not necessarily a concern.
Okay.
The larger concern would be people who have access to sensitive data, like the finance people, or the people who have access to, tax information, things like
Yeah.
that.
No, absolutely.
But a lot of those services we've outsourced, we've hosted them elsewhere. So if we ever did have a cyber incident, in Seymour, in the town of Seymour, we would, it wouldn't be affected. Those systems are hosted elsewhere, so they wouldn't be affected by that. So, it may make sense, and this is part of the conversation I'm going to have with the insurance company when I talk to them. It may make sense to implement multi-factor authentication for people in key positions that have access to that data that's sensitive in nature. But,
Okay.
the town as a whole, our custodians, for example, who are just logging in to get their email to see who's absent for the day, I don't know if it makes sense to spend that kind of money on them for that. And if the insurance company allows us to do that, then that's wonderful. That cost goes way down. And I think
Okay.
that's the more
Well, I
practical
think-
approach.
Yeah, I think the best thing you can do is just get various scenarios
Right.
in terms of, 100% full boat Cadillac plan versus whatever kind of stripped down version that still gives the town sufficient protection.
Yep. The goal here was to give you guys a number, put it in there so that you could see it, understand that it's coming, it may be coming. And if we can massage it a little bit down, or if it needs to get massaged up, at least you're aware of it. So that was the
Okay.
goal for tonight.
All right. Any questions for Rob from anybody about any of what's here?
The other thing, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
The other thing that's on the agenda for this year is I want to go through, we had started the process and then we got kind of sidetracked with COVID. But I want to go through what you're looking at here is what we've kind of coalesced into an IT budget here. There are other line items in other town department budgets that are IT related that I think, I want to spend the better part of this year kind of working with Rory and consolidating those down into the IT budget and pulling them out of those other departmental accounts. Just because there was one instance in the building department where they had a line item in there for something that was deprecated and no longer even being used. So, I think it makes sense to kind of bring everything down into one budget, so in the coming years, if we do that and we focus on that, you may see larger numbers on the IT budget, but they're not actually larger numbers at the overall budget because we're going to pull them out of other lines.
Oh, I think that's a plus. I mean, anytime things can be consolidated, so you're not chasing the same thing in different departments. Absolutely. If it's IT related, it should be under IT. I mean,
Right.
that just makes sense because the average department head is not the IT person anyway. And, to know needs and planning ahead. I support that 1,000%. In fact, if you could do any of it this year before we get this budget done, that would be a good thing too. But yeah, there no issue with doing something like that.
Okay.
Any questions for Rob on anything he's brought before us from anybody? Gee, you've spellbound our audience. So
I'll take that as a positive. Thank you.
not a problem. All right. Well, Rob, I guess you're all set. Keep us in the loop, obviously, and whatever changes are going to be made or plan to be made, let us know, because anything that can consolidate and even on the cybersecurity side, save the town a few dollars. I don't think anybody'd argue with you.
All right. Thank you. Good night,
Good
everybody.
enough. Thanks.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, next up, tab 17, Public Works. You guys are on.
Okay, so we'll start at the top here. Salary for the director. Basically, I took it from the collective bargaining contract and added the 2.49% times 52.2 weeks and came up with the number of 107,384. Same thing was done for the two foreman's positions. And the same thing was done for the mechanics. Regular employees were also calculated the same way. Salary for the laborers is going to be a little bit different because there's going to be a shortfall this year because the budget was completed before the collective bargaining agreement was done. So there's a bigger increase in the salary for the laborers. The laborers were bumped from $15 per hour to $19 per hour, but the budget was already set, like I said. So there will be a shortfall this current fiscal year. But this new number will be correct at the 4 laborers positions.
So what we're looking at for next year is a good number, you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
So there was nothing, we don't have boards, we don't have the board secretaries, no increase. Seasonal employees are 0 increase. Overtime, with regards to the emergency response for trees down, storm cleanup, emergency pothole repair, oil spills, motor vehicle accidents, etc. I'm requesting the amount be increased from 22,500 to 35,000 for overtime. Overtime for snow plowing. With consideration to the 5-year average, I'm requesting the account for snow plowing overtime be increased from 70,000 to 120,000. This year, we've already been hit with storms that caused us to be in work for two days straight. And unfortunately, most of the events were on holidays and weekends, which is going to put a pretty good hit on our overtime. Snow plowing materials.
Now, just to, I mean, what I'm looking at in obviously the book I have that was sent over, as this is a number as of December 8th. So let me see if there's another set of numbers on a more recent printout, I hope. To just trying to get a handle on what have we charged, let's say, so far to that. I'm reading off what was in the notebook with the explanations. So let's see. Okay, actual to date. Yeah, not a lot. As of January 21st was $9,200 spent. But I'm sure there'll be more coming.
Like to hope not, but
Well, if that's, I'm just, I'm reading overtime snow plowing, but actual spent year to date as of January 21st is $9,215. The budget is 70,000. And as you just said, you're looking to bump from 70 to 120.
that number I don't believe is correct, Mr. Swicky,
Okay.
for what we've spent to date.
I would ask then, Frank, that between you and Doug and Lori, you get a correct number in there?
Yeah, I'm sure that we're more than halfway through that.
Well, I'm not doubting that you are, because I see the trucks going up and down my street on a Sunday or a Saturday also. But Doug,
Last in there.
will you please get with Frank so that number, let's say, makes some sense?
Sure.
Because if he's saying they're halfway through, then that means that number's light by about $26,000, which means there's probably something in the line item that shouldn't be there and should be up in the category we're talking about.
Yeah, we're showing 34,000 spent in that account today.
Okay. You got 34, I'm looking at 9215. So we got a $25,000 gap, which tells me that it's got to be someplace. So I will, Doug, if you can find that out and make some corrections, please. So we've got some,
Okay.
we've got some good actual numbers.
I'm showing a
Yep.
balance of $35,800.75.
Okay, whatever it is, if all of you can work to get the right number,
Mhm.
that would be appreciated. So we're looking at the numbers we should be looking at. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Frank. I didn't mean to cut you
That's
off
okay.
on a
No,
tangent.
that's fine.
So
So,
the 17th.
so now down into the next item will be snow plowing materials. So I'm planning for the budget. It's of extreme importance for our department to keep an adequate supply of salt to combat the winter events that we typically see here in the Northeast. I would like to also point out that out of this account comes snow plow blades, tire chains, plow bolts, etc. This year alone, we spent over $7,000 on these items. So right from the start, we started the winter season at $93,000 budget for salt. With that being said, also with consideration to the 5-year average, I'm requesting that this account be increased from 100,000 to 150,000. And I will unfortunately be submitting the paperwork for a transfer to this account in the next few days because we are out of money in the salt account. So far to date, we've had over 17 weather events of either ice or snow, and it's only the second week of February, so we got a little ways to go here. The next one would be trees. With consideration to public safety, there's a great concern for dying and decaying trees within the town's easement. In the past 2 years, we were able to secure funding through LOSIP for approximately $50,000 per year, in addition to our normal $75,000 budget. However, it's not a guarantee that we'll be able to get the funding again through LOSIP. In a continued effort to address these hazardous trees, I'm requesting that the hazardous tree account be increased from $75,000 to $100,000. The next line item would be repairs and maintenance. Right now, we're currently maintaining several pieces of aging equipment, such as our 24-year-old backhoe, our 20-year-old backhoe at the transfer station, our 18-year-old sweeper, along with 29 trucks, a roller, a 20-year-old chipper, and several smaller pieces of equipment. I'm requesting an increase in this account from $80,000 to $90,000. For communications.
Frank, and in that regard of the old equipment that you've got,
Yes.
I know we have the traditional plow truck under the capital budget.
Yep.
Has anything else been added to it, which in your mind you think you should, to I don't want to say
Yes.
get modern, but get up to speed, because it's not a point that it's a guarantee you get it, obviously, and I think you know that.
Right.
But if you are down on equipment, or you have something that, or some pieces that for whatever the reason you think are going to fail or could fail or have a problem with parts or whatever, I would ask you to go back and revise your capital budget request, at least to put the stuff in there, for the big stuff, whatever vehicles or chipper or whatever it might be, so that we can get a handle on, okay, Public Works needs, I'm going to make up a number because I don't know what it is, but Public Works needs $400,000 of equipment. They need a plow truck, they need a chipper, they need a backhoe, whatever it may be. So I would ask at least to get that to Doug for the capital budget ASAP, because we want to see where you stand, because it doesn't help you guys, and it certainly doesn't help the town if you've got a ton of equipment that keeps breaking down and we're just throwing good money after bad.
Right. I'm actually working currently with Rory on that right now.
That's fine. I mean, as long as it's in progress,
Yep.
that's fine. And maybe that repairs budget in the end, maybe it doesn't have to go up. I mean, who knows? But
Right.
those are some kind of the options I want to make you aware of. But you're ahead of me, which is a good thing. So you're already doing it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, with regards to communications, with consideration to the safety of the crew and the public, in regards to our GPS, our weather service, which is Weather Century, our phones and internet service, and due to an increase in costs and under budgeting in last year's budget, I'm requesting that it be increased from 10,500 to 14,500, which is the current number that we're paying right now. That was the transfer that I had to put before the Board of Finance your last meeting. That was to cover the increase. For gasoline, with consideration to the recent rise in fuel costs, I'm requesting an increase in the account from the current 90,000 to 105,000. Pothole repair. The line item was taken out, but due to several roads that have no homes on them and that are heavily traveled that the town is not likely to pave, such as Clinton Road, Haddad Road, Cemetery Road, etc., I'm requesting that this be put back to $10,000.
Okay.
Wood grinding. With regards to grinding the wood, the brush pile at the transfer station, in review of the last 5 years, the cost has doubled to grind the brush pile. This past year, it cost the town $19,000 to grind the brush. DEEP, along with FEMA, has also implemented new regulations that make it extremely hard for us to get any type of funding. The areas need to be kept clean and checked for invasive species before and after grinding. So I'm requesting an increase in this account to at least cover what we at least had from last year. I'm asking from 10,000 to 20,000. And then the big one that no one's going to really want to talk about is garbage collection. Utility service collection and refuse account for garbage collection per the contract has increased for curbside and recycling from $337,176 to $893,700. And the purchase service for residential has increased from $551,338 to $603,237. And unfortunately, that's all contract driven.
And the bump in utility services from 373 up to 893 is why?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but that was, we were getting a pretty good deal for quite a few years, and it caught up to us. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, and that also includes the recycling and the curbside pickup, which were separate last year. So that combined them into once. That's the way they bid the contract. Where we're looking at about 8,000 tons a year. So far, we're kind of right on target with that. We're just a little under 4,000 at the end of December. January, we were close to 6, but at the end of the year, we're probably going to be close to the 8,000 tons. The cost per ton at Covanta is $70.39. We're estimating an additional 300 tons in there because we've had a steady increase in the amount of tonnage that has been produced, whether it's been for COVID or other reasons. We have the hazardous waste, the regional program that we're in. We estimated that to be $10,000. It was taken over by the COG, and they allocate those funds based on the use and the number of people that are in the town.
So if we're looking at garbage commercial last year of 55 and recycling of 188, that's about 230 grand. So if that's all part of that new 893 number, we're going from, let's say, 600,000 roughly to 893, 700.
Yes.
So we're facing about a close to $300,000 bump, all told.
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, and also there's some surcharges that if gasoline goes up above a certain number, we get a surcharge per month, and we built in $9,000 for that.
Absolutely. I mean, you'd want to do that. Okay.
The oil prices and the gasoline prices have been all over the lot, but it's been a steady increase.
I'm sure it
And-
has. You see it at the pumps.
And from what, what we've been following, what we've been looking at, some of the projections that have been put out by different organizations, it looks like we're gonna exceed those projections, so. I really don't know what to tell you on what the price will be because it fluctuates so much.
No, understood. I mean, if you had that kind of crystal ball, you could hit lotto too. But, we just have to deal with what we have. And our best guess, let's call it. Anything else you guys want to highlight for us?
And I think that was it.
Okay. Questions for Frank or Tony on Rich?
Bill, this is Jim. I have a question.
Go ahead, Jim, please.
I guess the scale was roughly $80,000 and they couldn't get the equipment, so they rolling that over to this year. They were upgrading the scale at the transfer station.
Yeah, the scale's done.
What, they did do it?
So
Yeah,
that's it.
scale's all set. It's actually operational.
Oh, okay. I thought there was a hang up of getting it done. So, okay.
That's fine. No,
That's good.
hey, something worked out.
That's
That's a
good.
good thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
keep track of the garbage.
that's right. Rich, you had a question?
I just have a quick question in regards to how many years are left on the garbage contract. I don't remember where we are with that.
That's a brand new contract. Yeah.
So-
It's a 4-year contract. It
4
escalates annually.
And is this a figure that we could start to expect to see every year now, or
The price is gonna go up.
it's going to go up? Okay. All right.
Right now, we have 5,400 households, and it'll be 165.50 for the service for the pickup, both recycling and curbside. Next year, it goes up to 171, and the year after that, it goes up to 177.50.
Okay. So slight increases. Okay.
All right.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Rich. Anybody else? At all? Okay. Frank and Tony, thank you very much. Keep us posted if you would on, if you're gonna make any adjustments to what we talked about. And
Okay.
also on the capital budget side, which is not as many items, but much bigger dollars, obviously. Okay. Next on our agenda, and let me flip to it. Parks will not be tonight. It has to be rescheduled. So I guess we are last but not least into town building.
Evening,
Which
everybody.
is, let's see, town buildings comes under tab 25 in our book. So Tim, I'm assuming you take it away?
Yep, thank you very much. To start off, just go down a really, line item by line item. The first top couple items are contractual increases that we're dealing with, so that's where it goes. When you move your way down, we have a couple new items. One is the HVAC service and controls contract. That's technically our preventive maintenance project that we actually brought in front of the selectmen last year. Actually, we just started in 2019 or 2020. That was approved by the selectmen so we could have a service contract for our town buildings. So it's a preventive maintenance contract and it's a controls aspect contract for all of our HVAC and heating needs for all our buildings.
Now, Tim, is there a separate budget in the police department for their units?
No, that's part of this project also.
All right,
That's part
so
of
there's
yeah.
nothing concerning the PD, because I know they
Not for
traditionally,
HVAC.
they traditionally had their own guys going over whomever that company was.
Correct. Yeah, we took care of that. It's under our umbrella right now. So that The whole preventive maintenance contract is for the town hall, police department, and citizens. And actually, yeah, those are the only three that we have under that contract as of now.
And what about the library? Anything?
That's for the automated, building maintenance system.
Okay,
And the maintenance.
So that covers the whole thing, and then there's a little bit built in there for service.
all right.
The library's on a separate, as needed policy, policy right now. We do it as on call, as needed. The controls, there's no actual updated controls on that building. That's something we're looking into the future, just to add on to the system. So everything's coincided on one system. So we can, control it from one point of contact.
Because I thought in my remembering of the building committee, I thought that the library had a separate system of everything else, plus the related controls that went with it. Now, I mean, obviously I could be wrong, but I just wanted to, just to get some clarity on us if we're doing this.
Yeah, there's no controls as of right now.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
actually looking to standardize all the ABMs. So, eventually in the future, we'll all be on one system, and we hope to have everybody involved in the different buildings cross-trained, so they'll be able to fill in and look at things in other buildings also. So we're looking for standardization there.
I don't blame you. Standardization is a good thing. Okay.
So if you move down, we had another vehicle maintenance line item. That's for all the town vehicles that we have. We have the 3 trucks. We have Anne Marie's car, we have my car, we have Jimmy's car, building department, assessors. So we put in Rob's. We put about a $1,500 per vehicle item, in there for repairs and maintenance, just to cover us for those type of issues.
Let me ask the question of anything that has wheels that you guys are dealing with. Do any of them have where the wheels are about to come off and in your replacement time? Not that we're looking to spend money on new vehicles, but
Correct. I mean, the lowest one probably is our building department. In the near, hopefully, the near future, we could do something for him. I mean, for his department, it's not at the point where it's, wheel falling off, but that's our next one in line, in which we're putting together a program of a vehicle maintenance and replacement program moving forward.
Okay.
For all of our town vehicles. I was working with Frankie and Tony on that for pretty much town-wide vehicles.
yeah, I mean, that's a good thing to have a fleet, essentially a fleet department to keep watch over this kind of stuff.
Correct, replace and recycle.
Okay.
Moving down a little further, our general supplies, we increased. Again, the cost of everything is going through the roof. So our supplies, we're gonna, probably by the end of the year, we're gonna be around 15,000 right now. For supplies for all our buildings that we take care of. So we increased that to it was at 10,000, we bumped it to 12. It's gonna go over, but we're tightening our belt as much as we could and using, to the minimum to try to, control our spending on that. So moving, next year, maybe some things might adjust a little bit. New products come out, new players in the game, but we're always pricing it out to try to save a buck when we can. Moving down, one of our bigger ones is the electrical increases that we're going to see. Eversource is proposing a 21% increase. So we went that across the board for all our buildings because, that's out of our control. It's out of everybody's control if they implement it, which it looks like they are. It's better to have it in there than not. Same thing with, our fuel, everything's been right now, it's been a decent winter. It's been cold. We had our ups and downs, but we're pretty much stabilized on our fuel usage right now. Hopefully we come in on budget, maybe close to budget, maybe under budget. But again, February is a tricky one, February even March. So, like today we had today and tomorrow we have 50s and it could drop to 10, so.
Yep. No,
Try to control it as much
no argument.
Yeah. And then moving down further, we have our purchase engineered services. We have an increase in there. That's for our town engineer. We had an increase in there just for,
It was for the services that are not grant eligible, where we have to provide engineering plans to apply for a grant. That used to be an eligible cost. It's no longer eligible. So we increased that by $10,000.
Do we have an idea what's coming down the pike that the 70 would cover? To get an idea?
Yeah, I don't. It's some of the steep grants that we have out there that, the steep grant is out there. Whatever projects qualify for that. Last year we did, what's the name of the street where we put the sidewalks? We just did Woodside.
Yes.
Yeah, we did Woodside. That project's pretty much complete. We only have one small phase of that to do. But whatever they apply for in the future, we have to provide the engineering for. So I don't know what projects they have in the hopper, but
Yeah, because as I said, I'm just looking at it. Through January 21, we spent 31,000. We got a budget of 60. So we're, if the 31 is a good number, we've got 29. We got 29 left. The bumping it up to 70. I'm wondering if we might be shooting too high, because if something's in and it has to be paid for, it would be. But do we need to extend that projection, let's say, that much?
I'm not sure.
well, I think we really just wanted to put that in to make everybody aware that there are some increases that could affect us, whether we actually do it or not, but at least everybody knows that there is an additional expense that's associated with just the standard operation that we have right now. So we might be able to make it.
Okay. Now, as I said, I'm not trying to cut anybody's knees out, but just looking from the point of view of numbers.
Yeah.
If there's any kind of an idea what could go into that 70, or what is there, I don't want to say a master plan, but a list of potential things to look at that, can match up with it, which, would make sense to me. But, for now, we'll see what it is, and, we'll deal with it. Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Oh, all right.
Any questions?
Anybody? Rich, Betty Ann, Bev, Jim?
I had one question. Did we get a letter from Eversource on the increase of 21%?
No, that was in the paper that they proposed it. So again, we're just not saying jumping the gun, but just preparing ourselves for it.
Okay. And also that includes for the gas heat. Is that also 21% also?
That was a separate, they haven't heard anything on that yet.
Okay, because I see we increased it 21% for the gas heat for the library. So, that's electricity. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, I thought I had a typo, sorry.
That's okay.
So,
yep.
And has the 21, Tim, gone before Pura yet, or it's all?
I'm not sure. I know it's in the hopper, but I don't know how far it's gotten.
Okay.
I can look into it and get back to you guys on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you can
So usually
either
4 to
check
5.
online or make a couple of well-placed calls.
Yeah.
Because it sure would be nice if that number was, I don't know, 8%, or something like that. Fingers crossed and toes crossed too.
Exactly.
Anybody else? Rich, Chris, Karen, Jim?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Jim. I don't see anybody's others' hands going up. Anne Marie, do you have anything?
No, I just want to thank the Board of Finance, as well as Tim, Rob, Tony, and Frank for coming out and explaining their budgets and why we need the increases. As you can see, everything is contractual based. There's no wish items in there, but we'll all go back and we'll look at it and see what we can do. Doug, I think it's a great idea if we take Bill's suggestion and take all the IT information and put IT with IT, communications with communications. It just makes sense to do it that way and having it in one budget instead of having it in 5 different budgets.
Oh, absolutely. No
Streamlining.
argument from me.
Yep. Streamlining and consolidation and looking as to wherever we can do cost savings and cross savings across the board is, is what our team has been looking at and trying to come together to bring to fruition.
And all that fun stuff, fingers crossed that everything works itself through, but so far so good on all of this. If there are no questions, that's it for tonight as far as departments we have to hear from. So in that regard, if no one has anything else, Rich?
Oh, I'm good. I don't have any questions.
No, that's not why I'm calling on you.
Oh, okay. Motion to adjourn.
Second, please.
I'll second
I'll
it.
second.
I was going to say, nobody wants to leave. Okay, we will see everybody on Monday.
Take care. Have a good night. Have a good night. Take care.
Take care. Stay
Take
safe.
care.